Hello, we're going to go through and do our demo of building a RESTful API with Node.js. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and install all the correct pieces of software. We're going to start with Node.js. So let's do a Google search on Node.js, and you'll find that Node.js is at nodejs.org. So we select that link. And that's going to take us to the Node.js website. There are two versions of Node.js you can download. There's the stable version, and then there's the latest version. I'd go with the stable version. You'll find it available in Windows, Mac OS, and Linux as well. And if we go to the next piece of software, we want to go ahead and install the text editor of your choice. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, VS Code. It's an open source solution. It works on all leading platforms. Works really well. I like it a lot. Microsoft did a good job with this. I also really like it that it's open source. But there's lots of extensions you can get for VS Code. So it's a great text editor. And we'll also need Postman. Postman is a tool that allows us to be able to view the APIs that we're going to create. So let's go ahead to postman.com. And again, it's another solution you can download for free. And so we're going to go ahead and select the download button. And it will automatically detect which OS you're on. So in this case, it's going to be Windows, but you can also get Mac and Linux as well. So we'll go ahead and download those. And once we have everything installed, what we're going to do is we're going to create a project in VS Code. And that's actually really easy to do. All you have to do is create a folder. And we're going to do this right off our desktop. And we're going to call the folder Node REST API. And we're going to select that folder. And you'll see on the left-hand column that we have the new folder that we created. We still have the VS Code welcome screen. We're going to get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. So let's go ahead. And one of the things I like with VS Code is you can actually toggle the terminal window. So let's go ahead and open up the terminal window so we can actually run that at the same time. And so we're going to move our cursor to the folder we just created. And there we are. You can see that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to initialize this with Node Package Manager to make this a package. And it's going to go ahead and we're going to ask for a name. We're just going to go with the default. So we're just going to say yes, yes to a couple of these. Yep, enter, 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 enter. And is this okay? Yep, enter. All right, so now we have a new file, and this is our JSON package. It has all the defaults in it. We can go in and modify these if we want to. No need to for this exercise, but you may want to for the solution that you're putting together. And we're going to create a new file called index.js, and this is going to be the reference file that's in the JSON package for npm. And here we're going to put in our solutions that we absolutely have to have for this to run. So we're going to install Express, and Express is a web service application, but it's very flexible, and one of the things that we're going to use it for today is build APIs. So in our terminal window, we're going to type npm install -- save Express. This will install Express locally on our machine. And it takes a few minutes, but it's going to go and download all the latest features. This is going to be the latest version of Express. You can, if you want to, specify a specific version of software. For these examples, there's no need to do that. So you'll see that everything has been installed. If we expand the Node module, we can scroll down, and indeed, yep, there we are. We see Express has been installed along with some other pieces that are useful. All right, so that's our first piece. The next is we're going to define our app, and our app is going to use Express. And we want Express as a local host on our local machine on port 3000. So we've identified port 3000 as the default port for our application. And we are going to now create an array for some movies. And we're going to have ID, title, director, and release date. Inception, great movie. And director Christopher Nolan. And that was released in 2010, yes, 10 years ago. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of items here, just so that we have some more than one entry in our array. And array is a JavaScript. You can think of it as a very simple table, which allows us to have structured data. You can also do a JSON file. You can also connect to a database, MongoDB or something like that. 2019. Okay, so we have two movies in our little array. That'll be more than enough for right now. Key part is that we have a consistent structure for the array of ID, title, director, and release date. And so we're going to create two APIs. One's going to be a get API where we'll get the list of the items in our API, and the second will be a post where we'll be actually pushing in a new item. So let's go ahead and start with the get. And what we want to do is we're going to select get/movie, and we are going to have this run as an API. And so what we'll do is we will test this in a moment. This will be running from our web browser. Actually, we'll probably open up Postman and run this through Postman. So, okay, that pulls all the movies. And we'll do another get in a moment where we'll filter by movie ID, but let's just get them all for right now. And we are going to listen on a server port. In this instance, it's going to be port 3000. And we already had defined the port as a variable earlier, so we're just referencing the variable, and the port number is listed at the top in line 4. Just a text string that's going to get put to the terminal window, and it is going to dynamically grab the port, the value from the variable from 3000, and place it in our text string. Easy. And we want to save the file, and now we're going to go ahead and run it. So we're going to do node index.js. That runs the script and tells us that we're listening on port 3000. That's great. That means now that we should be able to go into Postman and grab the data from an API. So here's Postman. If you've not used it before, it's a great tool for being able to manage APIs. Strongly encourage you to have a go with this. So we're going to get the get command. And if you've done any applications, web applications, you've probably used get and post for the data that you're pulling and pushing from forms online. Same principle. So we want to go ahead and we're going to go and grab get. I'm going to type in localhost, and it's going to be :3000/movies, because that's the name of the file, and we're going to hit send, and what we get as a response is the data in our query. Sorry, in our array. Here we go. So there's our array, and the data values have been pulled back by Postman. That's great. So now we want to go ahead and add a movie to our array. And we're going to do that we're going to use the post command, and get and post are HTTP commands. And so we're going to use movies, and in this instance, we're going to push the value into our list. So construction movie requires, we're going to need a structure here, and that structure is going to be the information that's in the body, and then we're going to push to the log, our terminal window, and we're going to push. So here we're using push, and that's a term for arrays within JavaScript where we push the data into the actual array itself. There are lots of ways of being able to control data within an array. If you're new to arrays with JavaScript, I strongly encourage you to learn more about them. There's just an awful lot you can do with them. And then we want to have a validation message come up on the screen saying, yes, movie has been added to the list. So we'll save what we've just created. If we don't save it, it won't show up. And then we're going to rerun the node index.js file. You can see this is we've created here already an API that allows us to pull and push data in and out of a variable. Okay, so let's go back, and we're going to change the header from being get to being push. So we're going to use, not push, post. So we're going to select post. And then what we want to do is the value inside of the body. And so let's go over. And we want to select body. And we're going to put in text and select JSON. So it's going to be structured. And so here we will essentially copy the structure we have here. So let's go ahead and just copy these elements. And we have to give it an ID because we don't have an auto-generated ID. So we're going to make this ID 3. And it's going to be a number 3. And then we want to put in title. New movie. And we'll put in director. And we'll have this as, I don't know, new director. Not very creative here today. And then we need to put in a date. So release_date. And let's just put in a date. Today's date will be fine. Just so you know that we're not formatting the date column. So let's go ahead and we'll select send, and this will actually go, and we can see below, boom, movie's been added to our list. And we can go back and let's go ahead and validate that. So we're going to change from post to get, use the same, and now we go to below. Oh, looks like we put an error in our formatting. So let's go to parse the JSON. And we will parse it using Express. And this will clear up any formatting issues. So app.use express JSON, express URL encoded, extended false. And this should help us pass our value. And then we'll rerun that script. Make sure you save the previous file, otherwise you won't run the new script. All right, looking good. So let's go back and let's go back to our localhost 3000/movies. And there's only two values here. So what we need to do now is change from get to post. We'll go to body. And what we're going to do is we want to have raw JSON. And what we want to do is capture the values that we have below and insert this file into this new JSON packet into our array. We can actually just copy that. It's a little bit cheating, but it's the main same. So let's go ahead and get everything consistent. And we're going to change the number to 3. We're creating a unique title. Actually, sorry, a new title. It doesn't need to be unique. Just the ID needs to be unique. So title will be new movie. New director, we'll change it to new director. And we'll change the date. I'm not doing any formatting on the date, so it can be any date, any number really. Hit save. Movie's been added to our list. Woohoo! So it's been added. But now let's go back to get and let's see if we can actually see the third entry. And scroll down, and there we are. We've actually pushed that JSON package into our array. So we now have 3 items in that have been added via our API. Okay, so now let's go ahead and search our movie database. Yes, we only have 3 entries, but we want to be able to. So we can do that by using the get command. And what we'll be doing is we'll be validating against a specific ID number. So we have 3, and we're going to validate against just the ID number. In this instance, the way to do it is through the URL. So beforehand, we had localhost :3000/movie. Now we're adding in /movie/ and then whatever number after that will actually filter against the ID. And that's essentially what we're doing here right now. So we're going to go into if movies.id. Again, we're using the ID value to actually pull from our array list. With my variables and arrays mixed up here today. And then once we actually have the value, we'll actually post back as a JSON packet. And if we have any errors, then what we'll do is we'll throw up a message movie not found. So there we are. We're going to pull against an ID. And we should be able to then pull that up through Postman into our terminal window. Again, the reason why we're using Postman is that this is actually just showing the values going back and forth. We're not having to render a whole web page. It's extremely fast, very efficient. All right. So we saved and reran our script. All right, let's go back. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the value. So we're going to hit send. Here we are. We see all of our movies using the get command. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a filter on just ID2, which is the Irishman. So do /2, and there we are. We have just the information on the Irishman. So now you can see how you can create a simple search. All right. So the final action we want to do is to delete a record in our array. And so we can go ahead and do that. And we're going to use the delete command to actually do that. So we'll be able to push in a record. We've been able to view records, filter against records. Now we're going to go ahead and do delete. And so we can do app delete, and then we're going to filter by specific ID number. And when we do this, we'll actually then, when we put in the URL path, which will be localhost:3000/movie/ and then the ID number. So in this instance, either 1 or 2, probably use 2. That will then delete from our array the record for the Irishman. Save our files. I do the shortcut, a keyboard shortcut of Control+S to save files on Windows, or Command+S on my Mac. And once we've deleted a record, we want to send a message saying that the movie has been deleted. All right, so we want to go ahead and let's just check our code. Looking good. Save our file, and we want to rerun the index.js file. There we go. Rerun. Okay, let's go to Postman and grab the delete. So again, we're filtering against a movie ID, and then we'll delete that ID. Okay, so we went against the Irishman, and we hit send, and there it is. Now we're going to change the command to delete. So we hit 1, we'll actually delete Inception. The movie has been deleted, that's great. And let's go ahead and grab use get to pull in all the movies that are listed. And it's not going to find movie number with the ID 1, it's not there anymore. And if we get all the movies, we see we only have one movie, and that's The Irishman. And so our delete function has worked. There we are. So we've installed Express. We're using Express to build all of our applications. We have our app running on port 3000. We are using Express to pass the JSON effectively back and forth. We have a simple array. That array is then being used to create an API to pull the details. And then we're being able to add a movie, then search for a movie, filtering against an ID. And then we can actually finally go ahead and delete a movie. All this using Express.js. Thank you very much.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.